Tim O'Malley with Tim Priester outside the Goog following Brian Kelly's press conference previewing Navy, and as expected, Coach Kelly was complimentary of Navy, and I think he spoke the absolute truth. Navy will play well against us. They always do.
Yeah, and 3 quarterbacks to prepare for.
Yeah.
They literally are looking at 3 quarterbacks and different body types in practice in order to prepare for them. And look, Navy's not a very good football team, but I think as we take a closer look at them, they've had a couple close calls. Obviously, a controversial loss to SMU. They didn't play well against Air Force, but they hung with Houston until they didn't hang with Houston anymore. So, I wouldn't underestimate them too much going into this game. Notre Dame's coming off a bye. They are 9-1 coming off byes under Brian Kelly. He made a point that, if you're playing a top 5 team, maybe that record wouldn't be quite as good. And they have had some breaks in those instances. But the 2 weeks preparing for Navy certainly helps. They started preparing last week, mainly with the prep teams themselves. And, no excuses going out there to play them in San Diego.
And to put a point on that, they also started preparing with the prep teams in the spring and in August. That's something they've been doing for at least 5 or 6 years. It started with Diaco, because we all got kind of confused once when Bob Diaco mentioned that they've been working on Navy for 9 months. He meant the scout teams. So that is so the offense can run quickly. They're going against now Jafar Armstrong back. Supposedly Jafar Armstrong is going to play. Troy Pride shows no ill effects per Brian Kelly, and then the news on the offensive line, I guess it's not breaking news we talked about on the podcast, but there's a new starter up front.
Yeah, Aaron Banks at left guard, a guy that we've been talking about, hey, let's see a little bit more of him. Didn't know that they would put him in the starting lineup, but they've made that move. The bye week certainly allowed them to do that, and I really think it is the right move, at least based upon the little that we've seen him play. And then Ruland will start at right guard, but obviously Tommy Kramer's good enough that you don't want to just put him on the bench, so they're going to split time there. They're 2 different types of offensive linemen. We've said it many times that Kramer's more the big body and Ruland is more the technician, and I think it's a good move. I think Navy is probably a pretty good opponent to make that move with.
And I think it's relevant. Fans might be wondering about Troy Pride against Navy, but he did start. You do have to run 2 corners against Navy, and it's obviously Julian Love was the guy that moved to safety. They won't have to do that now, we'd assume, with Alohi Gilman knowing a little bit about that offense. Jafar Armstrong, though, we were told held out of contact yesterday, but Brian Kelly seems certain he will play against Navy, which is really the most important thing, because then you would think he could maybe be full speed in the games to come.
Yeah, and he's important. We've talked about how important he is to giving them the versatility that they want at the running back position. We know what Dexter Williams can do. We also have a pretty good idea what Jafar Armstrong can do based upon the first handful of games as he got better and better. So I think that's important. I'm not sure. We didn't ask about Tony Jones. I guess we could probably do that on Thursday. I thought I saw him tweak his ankle late in the Pittsburgh game, and he's had at times difficulty recovering from those things. But if you have a healthy Jafar Armstrong back, you pretty much have what you need at the running back position. One
travel note for Notre Dame: they will stay in San Diego and fly back on Sunday. That means no Brian Kelly Sunday press conference for the team or for us. We will be out in San Diego as well, something we've been looking forward to for a little while, and we'll be back with more IrishIllustrated.com tomorrow with a special Wednesday podcast.